Hello, everyone, and I hope things are going well with you. We've made it through September, and here we are ready to make our way through October. So I just wanted to do an update on and try to cover some things that you probably have some questions about and talk about just some of the things that I've been seeing that I think might be helpful. I wanted to talk a little bit about the literary analysis that you did for the language arts and reading 7 through 12. Now, this one is about literary analysis, and this one, I could tell overall, this one, you guys had more to write on. It seemed like it was easier for you to have things to say, easier for you to do the analysis. And the reason for that is simple. You've done this. You've had to take classes where you had to do this kind of activity before. The pedagogy stuff that you were doing on the English 4 through 8, English Language Arts 4 through 8 test, the pedagogy, a lot of that is new. You haven't had as much experience with that. And so we're going to focus a lot more on that. But I wanted you to just practice with this sample literary analysis question. We have two main goals in this class. One of the goals is for you to learn ways to use writing. Writing is a tool for learning in whatever topic you're going to, whatever area or level you're going to be teaching. Not all of you are going to be teaching, say, an English or a language arts class. So this practice for literary analysis is going to be more geared towards the people who are planning to take the English language arts test. But for those of the rest of you, it's still good practice with your writing, because the second goal of this class is to help you advance yourself as a writer and think about ways you can be more aware of what you do as a writer. What are some strategies you can use? Because the more you know about writing and the more you're comfortable as a writer, then that'll just make it easier for you to use writing in your teaching, and then also to work with writers in your classes. So I'm not going to spend as much time on this because it looked like you did pretty good, but I'm going to cover a few things. And I pulled out an example here. I have no idea whose this is, but actually this person I think did a pretty good job. So, but if you look, when you think about taking this test, one of the first things I want you to notice is look at the length of this. And they give you, I think it's 60 to 90 minutes. You get quite a bit of time to, yeah, here it is, 60 to 90 minutes. You get quite a bit of time to do this. So you want to spend all of your time, cover as many details as you can. But one of the things I noticed is this sample has 993 words in it. This response written by one of you guys has 551 words. Now, it's still a very good response, but as you see, as you're practicing for whatever test you're going to take, look for these common characteristics. How long are the written responses? How much room do they give you? I really couldn't tell. I couldn't find it on here. Maybe it's on here, but I couldn't find it. Because you'll be typing this into a box on the computer. And I don't know if they give you a limit on like how many characters you can put into that box. If it's on here, I didn't see it. So if somebody caught that, you can let us know. Now, the other thing, the sample has 4 paragraphs. Paragraphs are very important when someone's reading and scoring. They do holistic scoring. I don't know if you're familiar with holistic scoring. That's another good term to think about. Maybe a new term you don't know. These help the reader. Now, in this one, this student response, there were only 2 paragraphs. If you have 2 paragraphs and you have your information, combined more like that, that makes it a little bit harder for the reader, because the reader has to try to figure out all of what's going on in a paragraph. Or if you break it up, then that's that's going to give the reader a clue. Okay, I've covered this. Now I'm going to cover another main topic 3, main topic 4. Okay, so let's look specifically at the a couple of things here on this student's response. Now, this student put hard times in quotes. You can see it over here. This is actually, Hard Times is the name of a book, so it's going to be bolded. And you can see that over here. Now here, it's not bolded, and when you're doing this on the computer, you may not be able to bold it, but you're not going to want to put it in quotes because that's technically an error. And anytime you make even small errors like that, when somebody's doing holistic scoring, that's an easy thing for people to pick up on and subtract points. And even if you just have a few of them, like if you're on the borderline, say maybe you're between a 3 and a 4, you're between a 2 and a 3, things like this could bump you down. So you want to be very careful. And when you look up here, see excerpt from Hard Times, you can see here it's in italics. Okay, so italics, actually I put this in italics. It just, or I think I did. I think here it shows up. Did I bold it? So it probably should have been either bold or italics would work. If you can't do either one, like I said, don't do the quotes. Now, I deleted a sentence, this sentence here. While they approach this theme from different perspectives and styles, both authors employ different literary elements, because I think when this would be information that you don't really need to have in there. You could get rid of that, because the student here, the writer here, does a really good job of introducing. They share a common theme. They say what the theme is, and then just jump right into one of the central themes connecting these passages is the idea of dehumanization. And then this person is very specific. In Espada's poem, the speaker describes highlighting the physically demanding and soul-draining nature of the job, the repetitive, and then you can see here, Espada uses vivid imagery and then gives specific examples. This evokes a sense of suffering and alienation. So the student writing here is actually doing a very good job of staying on what the question is asking. Identify and discuss themes, and then explain how the authors use literary elements and or literary devices to develop and support these themes. Okay. Similarly, in Dickens' description, so he or she talked about the Espada section and selection, and then now they're talking about the Dickens, and they do a similar kind of thing. So, reduced to mere cogs in the machinery of capitalism. This connects back to this idea of the dehumanizing effects of industrialization. The town's monotony, smoke and pollution. They give specific examples. And then Dickens employs a satirical tone. That's a literary element. With fact, and then the writer points out that that's the use of repetition. Okay, then going back to Espada's poem, another example of the literary elements, vivid sensory details, gives examples, specific examples. Now I deleted, both authors use literary elements and devices to support these themes. I don't really think you need that there, because the writer's already doing this, and you just want to continue to give the specific examples. Okay, and then the writer continues, imagery, giving specific examples, paints a big picture of industrialization's environmental and psychological effects. So continuing to come back to this theme of industrialization. Again, repetition, and actually says what the repetition is. Monotony and conformity. Satire and irony. Okay, Dickens also employs satire and irony to critique the dehumanizing effects. I put the pluses here because as a reader, my question is, okay, where in the Dickens selection, specific information to show me what or how that's being done. Where is that being done? How is that being done? Because the writer's done a very good job of that up until this point of giving very specific examples and doing good description of what they're talking about when they pull up these literary elements. But here, that could be done, and that would help. Now, the conclusion is not bad, but my comment here was to, or I thought I had a comment. Maybe it's here. Yeah. When you're doing a conclusion on this kind of test, in this kind of testing situation, I would just sort of summarize and maybe make it one sentence. There's a little bit more here than you really need. It's a little bit longer than needs to be. So I would up here add more information, maybe even do more examples if you have time and can add more of that in, because the more of that specific detail you can put in, really the better it will be. But this overall is really very good. Now, in terms of the rationale, though, what the writer put for rationale: responds to the prompt with an in-depth and thoughtful response. Now, if you look at the example over here, notice the rationale for score of 4. So if we're going to go with the score of 4, it does says similar, the assigned task is clearly and thoroughly done, similar to what the writer over here said. However, this writer here has not explained that. So when you're given a rationale, you need to know, okay, why? How is this being done? How is it responding? How is it in depth? And you can see here in the opening paragraph, the writer does this. Going well beyond, the writer doesn't just simply identify or describe the elements. It uses, integrates into its larger discussion, offering specific, well-chosen examples and well-reasoned analysis of the different ways, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So I didn't count off for this necessarily. I did count off if you didn't get a full 10 point, because I am still doing the low stakes where I give you full credit if you did the assignment, if you wrote the response and you did the rationale, whatever level of expertise you think you had, because some of you had very short responses that, and you said you probably wouldn't give it, but maybe a 2 or a 3. If you did get some points off, it's probably because you didn't do the rationale. There were a couple of you that I think that forgot to do that. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to talk about was the checking our language, because I didn't give full credit to very many of you on that. However, probably your first question is, and I should have written that here, you can do it again. Talking about low stakes and high stakes, the idea behind that is that with low stakes, you're going to practice and give opportunities to practice. So even though you did it this first time and you didn't get all the points, but you can do it again. Now let me tell you what I was seeing. Let me go to here's the description for the checking our language. Make it a little bit bigger. Okay, now I ask you here, post what terms or phrases have you identified that may have affected how you think about yourself as a writer and or as a future teacher? This means that what have you read, or what have I put in? It could have been something I said or put in one of the update videos I've been making. At this point, terms or phrases, concepts, ideas. A lot of you did this, and I'm not surprised you did it, because what I have found, that generally when you ask students questions like this and you say, what would you, what do you think, or what did you feel, or what did you like? But that's not what I'm asking you guys to do. One of the things that I think is very important, and I know I've said this probably already, is to start thinking about the terms. What are the terms that are being used here in the way that the test and the things that we're studying, what are the things that, what are the actual terms and concepts that are being used? And I gave the example of fix as not being a good term. Some people, here's some examples. Some people picked up on pedagogy. I had mentioned pedagogy. Response, because I talked about assessment. I talked about response. Some people talked about assessment as being something they thought about. Now, the low stakes and high stakes, I would guess that might be new for some of you. Maybe not. Maybe you all know that already. Now, if you go back over here to what I put on the assignment, I gave you this article, Using Reflective Writing in Service Learning. I didn't say you have to read it. Now, I guess if it comes down to it, I guess for these checking our language, I can say you have to read this article and you have to write about something new you got from the article, which it's not really what I want to do, but I don't know. Unfortunately, that's kind of the mindset that has developed, and that's a lot of what we get when in our classes. But the idea is that you can look here and find out information and add to your understanding of what you know about writing. You as a writer, ways to use writing as a tool. So low stakes and high stakes would be an easy, it's like I'm giving you that one there. So you could have used information from that. You could have used those terms, because, and there are some in the testing example, when you go through the preparation materials, there were some terms in there that might have been things that you hadn't thought about before, hadn't seen before. So a lot of you were like, oh, students need to like what they're writing, and I need to work individually with students. All of that's pretty general. Anytime you're doing something like this, you want to think about, are you adding something to our discussion? What did you find that was different, that you would tell us something about, something you came across, something you got a little bit more understanding about, or as you used something, as you used a term, or as you thought about a concept we were talking about, how did you think differently? Did it give you some more understanding, or some different understanding of you as a writer, or even working with writers? So here's an example. Let's see, I've gained so much from the beginning of this course. And see, I didn't ask, my question wasn't respond to how has the course helped you, or what overall have you learned about the course. That's not, I want you to be very specific about some concept, some idea. And then here it is, make it interesting. Well, we want to make any learning interesting, but as we go through, you will see that, some of the things that you have to do, especially for the testing, it's not always going to be interesting. Now, you can make it to where it's not drudgery or boring, but, we can't have all writing be, fun and let's, happy, joy. I'm not saying to, do drudgery, but we need to think beyond just, I got to try to make it happy and fun, because, hopefully you'll thank me when you get to be a teacher, because it's a lot harder than that. Form bonds with each and every student. Students will not enjoy writing if they don't like what they're writing about. I mean, this is all pretty generic, and there's not a concept here. There's not a term. There's not a concept. This is pretty general. Just we all think this and want this and kind of know it. So, but here's some examples. So if you want to go back in and redo that, you can, and that's good. I want you to do that. And again, if something here, maybe something here wasn't as clear as it should be, so that's why I'm giving you the extra information in this update. So, but, go by this: terms, phrases, concepts. Guess I can. We can bold that and see if that helps. Okay. Couple of other quick things. I did find out. I talked to someone over in College of Education, and they said questions you have about certification would be Kathleen Lynch Davis or Carol Pike. A couple of people ask about literary terms, if they're a good, list for that. I found a couple online, and what I'll do is I will send a separate update where I'll give you some links for that kind of stuff. Now, here again, this is not something that you all need to worry about. This would be mainly for the people who are planning to take one of the English language arts test. The rest of you, if you're in different areas, you really won't need that. You're more than welcome to look at it and use it if it's beneficial to you. And then I just wanted to reemphasize, you need to post your questions in Blackboard. So let's say if on this Checking Our Language, there's a post in Blackboard where you're posting, or a thread where you can post, or a forum where you can post your response to this assignment. If you have a question, post it in that area there. If you send me an email, I'm not going to respond or answer it, because I'm going to answer those questions in Blackboard. We do our class in Blackboard, so my email is a separate thing. And I had explained, it's I have to dig through and find student information in my email. So when it's in Blackboard and we can all see it, and it's beneficial to you if the questions are there. Because if I just answer one person on email, the rest of you aren't going to see that or know or be part of that discussion. So post your questions in Blackboard. If you send me an individual message, I will talk about it maybe here in an update. But unless you post those things in Blackboard, I'm not going to do a specific response to it. So anyway, if you have questions on any of that, post it in Blackboard. And you're doing good work. You can see from the example up here. So we're doing a lot of low stakes practice, trying to get practice with using these terms, thinking about new ways to think about writing, etc., etc. So anyway, I hope this helps, and we'll keep working and work through October and have a good October together. So thanks for all your hard work.